I started a carnivore diet 3.5 years ago, and since then my life has dramatically changed. Today I want to talk to you about 5 important things I've learned over the last 3.5 years, so stay tuned. Welcome back, my friends. My name is Sarah. I am known as Carnivore Yogi. Thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. Today, I want to talk to you about 5 important things I've learned in the last 3.5 years since starting a carnivore diet. Now, if you're new here, just a quick little history. I did start a carnivore diet just about 3.5 years ago because I had a lot of issues that doctors were telling me was aging. And I just wasn't willing to accept that. I had a lot of joint pain, inflammation. I was not able to practice yoga or work out the way that I wanted to. I had a lot of gut issues, indigestion. I was diagnosed with IBS, but the solution was eat more fiber. There wasn't really a lot the doctors were helping me with. I had always struggled with sleep and mental health. I had been on and off of SSRIs for many, many years. And I just was at that point where I was thinking, I need to go back on an SSRI, and I really didn't want to. And so a friend of mine recommended the carnivore diet, actually a doctor friend of mine, Dr. Rimka. You may have seen her on my channel before. She's a local friend here. And I said, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard, but why not? And I tried it out. It was only going to be 30 days, and it ended up continuing on much, much longer than that, obviously. So it resolved a lot of those issues very, very quickly. So that is my story so far. And let's just go ahead and jump into those 5 things. But before we do that, little disclaimer, this is not medical advice. This is my anecdotal story. I am a certified nutrition coach as well as a quantum health coach. So I do work with quite a few people who do this lifestyle. But again, this is just my anecdotal story. All right, number 1, what is the first thing that I have learned is what it feels like to have actual food freedom and just freedom in general. So freedom from going to the doctor constantly because I almost never get sick. Freedom to just be around food and not feel like I have to have it. Like I was so addicted to food that I just thought about it all the time. What's my next meal gonna be? And I'm hungry every 3 hours. I have to eat a snack and just like planning my whole life around food. And I do have a very addictive personality. I do not drink alcohol because it has been a problem for me in the past. So I do have that layer of an addictive personality. So some people listening to this might be like, okay, you're crazy. But truly to not have food cravings all the time, sugar cravings all the time, freed up so much of my brain that I've been able to read, to learn, to just expand as a person and to not feel this constant obsession with what I'm going to be eating next. And then it's also like physical cravings. I really don't have to deal with that anymore. So number 1 has just been to learn what real freedom actually feels like. The second major thing I've learned is that living by example is a lot more powerful than telling people what you're doing. So my husband didn't even know I was doing carnivore for the first 4 months because I knew he definitely would not approve. And so I just didn't tell him. It was easy because I cook for the family. I can eat kind of separately and it wasn't a thing. But we went away on a beach trip about 4 months into the diet, and I could no longer hide the fact that I wasn't eating vegetables. I was just eating steak and eggs. That was really all I was eating. And I did tell him, but it opened up some time for us on the drive to be able to listen to some podcasts. He's a big Joe Rogan fan, so we listened to Sean Baker on Joe Rogan, Michaela Peterson. Some of those podcasts really did help him open his mind, and he had already seen that, again, I wasn't having to sleep on the couch anymore. I was sleeping on the couch a lot before I did the diet because my gas was so terrible. It would literally keep him awake at night. Sorry, TMI. And I wanted him to be able to sleep, so I'd sleep on the couch quite a bit. But he noticed that I was sleeping in bed. I wasn't having gas. I was back to the gym, back to yoga, feeling better. He said I was, my mood was better. I was happier. And I was like, hey, It's eating meat. Eating meat and eggs has transformed my health completely. And so instead of me preaching and saying, this is what I'm doing, I just kind of did it. If I don't really tell people off, I know I'm on YouTube, like telling you guys all this stuff, but I don't really tell anybody off of social media what I do for my diet. I just don't. People ask me, and then it's a lot more effective for people in my daily life it's just living by example, rather than preaching. So that's the second really important thing I've learned, is living by example is more important than talking about it. The third really important thing I've learned is that don't take anybody's word for things. Just experiment for yourself. Find out what works best for you. Because there's people that are going to say, don't eat salt. And maybe that works really awesome for them. But as a coach, I've worked with a lot of people that if they cut salt, they have terrible migraines, they can't sleep, they feel horrible. It just absolutely ruins their chances of being able to stick with this. And then I have worked with other people that if they do have salt, they're very salt sensitive, they'll swell, they feel bad. So don't take anyone's word about absolutes here. I know some people that do a lot of fasting, it works well for them. And then some people that really can't do a whole lot of fasting, or they start to have a lot of adrenal issues, a lot of cortisol issues, but they're still doing great without the fasting. So there are a lot of people who speak in absolutes, and I don't like that, but it's attractive. Unfortunately, if you speak in absolutes, people are going to run to you and kind of treat you like a guru because you have all the answers. I'm a little bit more ambiguous. I'm a little bit more of like, let's, find what works best for the individual, rather than preaching like everyone do high protein and low fat, or everybody do high fat and low protein. You really have to experiment for yourself, which I have had to do. If you watch my videos over the last few years, I'm all over the frickin' place because I've tried a lot of different things. Number 4 really goes with number 3, and that is just that one size does not fit all. Again, what's going to work for a 25-year-old female is probably not going to work for a 50-year-old female. And, unfortunately, I see a lot of 50-year-old females trying to do what 25-year-old females are doing, and it's not good. Your hormones are different. You're in a different stage of life. And so again, it's kind of going along with number 3, but just needed its own separate point. One size does not fit all. And as much as I love the carnivore diet and it helped me and transformed my life, I have seen people who do better with a little bit of variety in their diet for various reasons. So I am not a dogmatic person. I think for optimal health, there are different things that you can do and things that I will recommend to people, but I am never going to tell someone to do a certain way of eating or they're not going to get better. Number 5, this was a really hard lesson for me to learn, is that diet doesn't fix everything. And I know I might get some hate for saying this, but if you've watched my videos over the last year, you know that I gained about 20 pounds in 2020, and I really did not change my diet that dramatically. I dramatically changed my lifestyle. I was no longer teaching 8 classes, 10 classes a week. I was no longer leaving my house. I was indoors all the time. I was on my device all the time. And I wasn't spending any time outdoors. My vitamin D was only a 33 when I checked it just about a year ago. So I had really low vitamin D. And I didn't take light into account at all. So once I interviewed Dr. Cruz, I kind of went down this rabbit hole, Dr. Jack Cruz, of quantum health. And it forced me to make a lot of lifestyle changes to start building my life around circadian rhythms and building my life around light. Again, did I make any major dramatic diet changes? Not really. I basically just changed my light environment and was trying to improve my mitochondrial function, which I think you can do a great job of with a meat-based or a carnivore diet. But if your light environment is crap, if you're laying in your bed, scrolling on your phone constantly, if you don't see sunrise, if you're never outdoors, if you never get any light on your skin, you're missing out on really, really important nutrients. That light is a nutrient for your body. So that was a hard lesson for me to learn because I wanted diet to fix everything. And I think that there are a lot of people who are very well-meaning that only talk about diet when we talk about overall health. And I think they might be missing the boat just a bit, because since I have implemented these quantum strategies into my lifestyle, I have definitely reverse aged. I've definitely had major improvements in my blood work, in my sleep, in my mental health. Even though I had already had a lot of improvements, that has just up-leveled completely. So a lot of the content on this channel is now a little bit more about quantum health, circadian biology, and light, because I want to bring this information to the community, because I think that there are people who are really doing great with diet, but they're still not quite where they could be. They're not quite optimized. So that's a really important point. Number 5 is that diet just isn't going to fix everything. We have to look at our lifestyle as well. Diet's important. Don't misunderstand, but we do have to do a little bit more. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Just a quick little video about these 5 things that I have learned. I'm happy to expand on any of these topics. So if you have any questions about anything I've talked about today, please leave me a comment and I will be happy to expand on any of these things. But I hope this has been helpful, and I will talk with you in the next video. Bye, guys.